hope you guys have had a good week and you are gearing up for some wonderfully delightful Thanksgiving celebrations with some time off and time with close family and friends. And if you don't have anybody to spend it with, I encourage you to find somebody to spend it with. Quality time is highly important for not only our physical well being, but our mental well being as well. We are winding down. We are in the last 2 weeks. Things are looking pretty good. For the most part, everybody has been doing really, really well with their papers. But just like I expect my students to continuously improve, I also expect the same for myself. So, one thing that I have seen people continuing to struggle with is their inability to get the formatting down correctly for any type. When somebody says, "What is MLA formatting?" there are quite a few things that Google Docs as well as Microsoft Office will automatically set for you. But there are some things that you guys are continuing to struggle with. So I want to go back over a few things. And I consider it part of my job in the first level programs here at Columbia to set you up for continued future success. And one of those is your ability to understand how important consistent formatting is. So I know sometimes students get frustrated because they say, well, what am I doing wrong? Well, if you don't specifically ask me, I don't know that you know or that you care that it's wrong. So I want to make sure that I am giving you as many resources as I can to make sure that you are successful. So, like I said before, continuous improvement for you guys also means continuous improvement for me. And what that looks like is continuing to identify resources. So, there are sections in your book on MLA formatting. Columbia College offers MLA formatting guidelines through their plethora of resources in the library. There are online tutoring programs that are free. And in some regard, you could probably even get ChatGPT to put something in MLA format. So the first thing that I have provided for you this week before you go into your research final is an MLA checklist. And in this MLA checklist, it has everything you can possibly think of. So, consistent problems that I am seeing across the board are a failure to properly put your information and my information in the upper left hand corner. You guys tend to want to bold your title. In many cases, you're not indenting. But notice that there is consistent spacing throughout this document. And in many regards, that's not what I'm seeing. So the good news is that Microsoft Word and Google Docs both offer templates that provide a lot of this information for you. They're not perfect, but they do take a heavy burden off of your shoulders. And in many cases, it is simply you not paying attention to minor details that make a big difference. And if you don't care about the little things, sometimes people aren't going to care about the big things. So again, in formatting it, like I showed you in a video a couple of weeks, in using that proper format that lets your observers know that you pay attention to detail. In many cases, it could be the difference in letter grades. But additionally, it's learning the formats of the languages in which you have to communicate. And that is vitally important. So I've said before, you wouldn't send a text to me worded the same way that you would send a text to your best friend. I said to one of my children the other day, would you say that in church? And he was like, no, ma'am. So, we had that conversation. So we have different registers in language, but they apply in our writing as well. So again, the bigger issues are the lack of proper spacing, the lack of attention to detail here. I am continuing to also experience where students are using personal pronouns and they are often using contractions, but all of these are relevant. Don't have too many fragments, but I'm going to do a brief lesson on those in just a few minutes. But again, we do find that sentences are not completing thoughts. And if you don't complete your thought, then that's what makes it a fragment and it makes it difficult for your reader. So you want it to be smooth. For the most part, you guys have used adequate in-text citation. Some of you are using full names, which is okay, but it's simplest to use their last name. So make sure that you are citing your sources properly. Additionally, some of you have sections where there is an extensive quote that is multiple lines. So you can see in this example over here how we have block quoting. And this is a big quote. So because it takes up more than 2 or 3 lines, it's automatically moved into a block quote. And that's kind of advanced, but it is something that could, provide you a few extra points on your paper. The other thing that I am seeing, and some of you are doing this adequately, but you are taking the period and you are putting it in front of the page number or the person's name. So you need to make sure that the period goes after the last parenthesis. So all of this one sentence is contained from this capital letter to this period, including telling me where the source comes from. And if you have it over here, then it is absolutely distracting for the reader because we need to be able to properly identify our sources. So again, alphabetizing is important as well. And that's the other problem that we continue to run into when we are working with our sources. You guys think that it's a minor error, and in all actuality is I don't think any of you are actually at a point where you don't know your ABCs. You know what alphabetical order is, but it's a matter of paying attention to those details. And those details require that these be in alphabetical order. Again, with the proper formatting. And you guys tend to say to me, even when we're in conversation, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, the biggest thing is learn. I've shown you guys some tricks. I've taught you guys a few things. I've tried to find you resources. But at the end of the day, we can only go so far as instructors, and you have to take the initiative to figure it out. It's kind of hard because we're virtual, so I can't be right there with you to hold your hand and tap the keyboard for you. So it takes a little bit of extra effort on your part sometimes to make sure that these minor details are taken care of. But notice again over here, you also don't see hyperlinks. And I have said numerous times to remove hyperlinks, which are the blue overlays. So I'm going to upload this document for you. I found it to be very succinct, very explicit, because apparently the resources that we're providing you guys are not helping in the bigger picture. So I encourage you, before you submit your final draft this week, that you take a look and print this off as many times as you need it. Check it off. Again, some of this stuff is automatically done for you. So I'm going to show you 2 different ways. So let's click on Google Docs, and I'm going to open up a blank document. So in the Google Docs, I'm not in Google Docs, my apologies, in Microsoft Word, I'm going to look for MLA template, and let's see what we can find. File. Let's say new from template. Maybe it's in there. Let's go up to this search and let's type in MLA. Notice that I get 4. You might only have 3. In my case, I'll have the 9th edition here. And in any regard, you always want to go with the most recent. Yours may be 8th or 9th, but we can look very quickly at the differences in these. This has things in brackets where it tells you to replace all of your information. The other one is, I do not want to save that. Sorry. File. New from template. Doing it all again. This is what happens. This is how you learn. And when we pull up the 9th one, it has a little bit more detail, shows you the formatting for the language. But again, this spacing is there. So what's good about Microsoft is it's already taken away your need to worry about the 1-inch margins, what goes in the header or the footer, and where everything goes. So you could literally click in here, and then you just replace this with your name. Helps if I know how to spell my name for the 3rd time. So you would click here. You would then, why is it doing that? Let's see. So I would type in my name, and I would go through here. I would have my title. I would make all these corrections. Right here, keep in mind they have this bold. Remember, you don't have any bold. This is just for you to follow instructions and figure out how to do everything that they've already done for you here. So this is typing everything up, and they've even gotten the citation here for where you want to go to find the MLA. But notice that this isn't a hanging indent. So even though it's formulaic, and even though they have this template, once you look at it, you go, you know what? That's wrong. I got to fix that. So what that actually looks like, I've had to go in front of MLA. I've hit the back key, the return key. Oh, it went away. It's not wanting to let me type in that last one. But both of these are off, so they need to go back to the front. I wonder if it will let me indent that space. It will not. So, in all reality, if I were in this situation, then what I would do is start, my bad, let me get the original one back. Then I would simply type a new one. So I'm typing away everything that I am seeing up there. So we tend to get too comfortable with our resources and think that AI is perfect, and it's not. So that's why we end up having to need to know things. So notice that my modern started on the other line. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to hit the enter key and then the tab key. And now I have a proper hanging indent. I am simply typing up what I am seeing up there. You guys like my spelling mistakes? I told you guys, nobody's perfect. Now watch what happens when I finish typing the org. Oh, it helps if I spell it right. So sometimes, and I'll show you down here. Let's say I were to go to www.style. I'm going to just fake up a website for just a minute and see if it does it. style.mla.org. Notice how when I hit enter and it put that hyperlink right there. If this address right here were to show up as a hyperlink, then I need to 2-finger click it, and I drop down to where it says hyperlink, and I want to remove the hyperlink. So your web address would just need to look like that. But now that I've typed that source correctly, I can then go up here and I can delete this one. So again, these guys, these two right here, are not left aligned. They are indented, and that is incorrect. So I would come down here and notice that Microsoft, HIJKLMNOP, right? So they had MLA first, but it's not first. The Microsoft would be first. So I'm going to go to Microsoft. I'm going to start typing Microsoft Word version 365. Can y'all believe that? Microsoft Corporation 2022. Want to know why those errors come about? Because they don't hire English teachers to make their corrections for them. So we would delete that one as well. Now, this again is just a sample for a book. So I would be getting rid of this whole thing right here and getting rid of that extra space. And bada bing, bada boom, my works cited is done. Notice, however, that up here it says Calibri. Well, if we go back to our citation, it says Times New Roman or other approved font from your professor. I'm telling you guys, the Bible says Times New Roman, so it needs to be Times New Roman. I've typed all of this up, and I'm definitely not going to type it up over. Y'all still let me spell my name wrong. Shame on y'all. There's my ADHD kicking in. But again, I'm telling you, always use Times New Roman unless somebody has specifically said anything else. But I'm definitely not going to type all this over. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to go to Edit. And I'm going to go to Select All. And then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go Times New Roman. Boom. Now everything is done. So I check back through to make sure nothing else has changed. Still got everything that I need. Notice how it automatically changed my name for the pages right there. Yeah, you definitely don't need this one, but they do have the link there, so that's really, really good to help you with that. So that's how you work within Microsoft Word. And again, it's very similar to how you would work in Google Docs. So we go to Google Docs. I want the one that says MLA Report. If you can't find it automatically up here, you can go to the template gallery. So I'm going to pick this one. Now again, it's not perfect. Why is it not perfect? Well, notice that it doesn't have where you need your name up here. Additionally, it has these section headings. We don't have section headings, so you would automatically need to delete those. Notice too that it didn't indent this paragraph, so I have to indent it. We don't have submission headings or subsection headings, so we'd have to get rid of that. This might be for a lengthy quote, like I said, more than 2 lines. Again, we don't have another indented paragraph. We've got to indent. We get rid of this spacing here, okay? Notice how this spacing is a little bit different from this one. That's because Google Docs, again, is not perfect. So we have to figure out what that looks like. So we can highlight this section. We're going to go to our 3 dots. We're going to go to our, it's our up and down arrow. Let me find it right here. Thank you. We're going to go here, and we're going to go to custom spacing. And I want 0 spacing before and 0 spacing after. Notice how it moved it up, and now we've got a very smooth line. So again, we've got a paragraph out of alignment here, and we indent it and move it over. Oh, but look at where our works cited ended up. So we need to go in front of our works cited. We're going to go up here to, I believe it's Edit. No. Insert. Break. And page break, and look what happens to my works cited. So again, they've set everything up. They've got it all here, but I want to show you something really, really interesting. So a lot of you have multiple sources within your document, but you don't have proper citations to separate them in your work. So you've got to go to wherever the difference is. Now, the reason that this citation is coming in front of this citation is because everything is the exact same until we get to the number, and numbers will always come before letters. So if you had a citation that was 13 reasons why climate change is important, then that article would go first if that's the way that it's cited. But notice what's wrong here. DOE should come before DOL. So I would want to cut this and drag it up here. This one kicks off here. I'm going to hit the enter key, and it's going to take me back. So it's really important too that you pay attention to those things. So again, those are using both of those sources. And the in-text citation part, that is really, really important for you to pay attention to, because this is where you're going to spend a majority of your time. Two things you need to focus on: the proper formatting, with whether or not you use Google Docs or whether or not you use Microsoft Word, and then the MLA formatting. Again, like I said previously, APA, Chicago, a lot of them fall around MLA. And if you are in a course or a program or a field of study, they'll let you know what format you need. They branch off of MLA though. So, unless otherwise noted, my advice to you would be always go with the MLA format. And with that, paying careful attention to the in-text citations, but keeping in mind that we need to be able to keep those separate. So this one is good because they mention Woodrow Wilson, so I know that it's the Woodrow Wilson source, and it can be found on page 453. This one is a direct quote, and they tell me then pull out of the quote and give me the author's name, or the person who's getting credit for the source, and the page number. Here we have something very similar. And notice that the person has avoided the pronoun error because it probably said something like Antony's modifications of Brutus's formulaic oratory are the first hint that he knows his business. Well, now we've got a few too many he's. Is it he Antony or is it he Brutus? And it's actually Antony. So it's from Julius Caesar. They've got a typo here. So again, even this document is not perfect, but we have to pay attention to those kinds of details. All of these give you ways that you can do that. So when we're looking, I'm going to zoom into the sources. So when we're looking at this, you would refer to these authors as their last name. Burns says, Katunga says, Crow says, Forsyth says, all of that. When we get here, notice that we have an article. So you could simply say, because we don't have any other articles that are similar to that, you could simply just put to carb in parentheses. And then if there's a page number, then you would give me the page number. They access this from the web though, and that's okay. Again, in parentheses, you would say to carb, and I would know what source I needed to go to in order to know where to find the information that you're researching. So I hope this helps as far as formulating the last. And like I said, apparently the other resources that I have given you have not been enough for that. So I wanted to make sure that I looked out and researched and found another source for you to do that. So Towson has a lot of activities for you to do. There are quite a few lessons that you can walk through. So avoiding sentence fragments. It tells you after the tornado struck the small town, and is it complete? Is it not complete? Do we have all of the information that we need? And so we could check our answer. I'm going to say that it's fine the way that it is, and I'm going to type in after the tornado struck the small town, and I'm going to put a period. Then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to check my work. Oh, told me that it is a fragment, and it gave me other ways to correct it. So I'll put this link in there for you as well. Notice that I played around until I found a source that worked for me. But these are things that you guys need to play around with and to really figure out. You'll save yourself a lot of time. I know some of you are frustrated because you're like, why didn't I learn this in high school? As a high school English teacher, I'm going to say we tried. Sometimes children just weren't listening. Sometimes teachers didn't teach it. I mean, there are all kinds of reasons. And a lot of times it's not important until it is important. So hopefully this will help you guys. But I will put this link in there for you just to give you another bit of practice if you want it. If you're one of those that's struggling with it, I won't make it mandatory at all. But again, it's a good way for you to practice and figure out a few things on your own. Again, I am available for conferences. Obviously, we have Thanksgiving this week, but I'm only working Monday and Tuesday, so I should be able to fit a few in. If you guys need anything, feel free to reach out.